Morning Radiant, Tiff here, bringing you today's devotion. I was reading in Amos this week, and there were two lines that stood out to me in chapter 5, verses 4 and 6. In the middle of all this craziness going on in the world around Amos and all of these intense rebukes, there's an invitation from God, and he repeats it. He says it twice. In verse 4, it says, "Seek me and live." And in verse 6, it says, "Seek the Lord and live." And it stirred me up, that word seek. I think I've always loved that word. But in the middle of this quarantine, I have found the days just bleeding into one another. There's no routine or schedule or events or anything to mark one day from another. And I have found myself missing staff Zoom meetings because I literally had no idea it was Thursday or even my pack, just completely losing track of the day of the week, the date, the time of day, because it's all blurring together into this one big blob of existence. And I have found in the midst of that, it's felt easy to just kind of get lazy, survive it, comfort myself, to get apathetic or spiritually dull or sleepy, without clarity really about life. It's easy to have felt foggy or even visionless. And I felt like when I read this word, "seek me and live," it just like woke something up in my spirit. Because that word seek is an action word. It requires us to apply ourselves. It's an awake word. It's a word that comes from a place of offense and not defense. Actually, the word means to go to a place or to frequent it till you tread a path or beat a path because you've run it so many times. In the Amplified, when it says, "Seek me and live," it says, "Seek me, search diligently for him, and long for him as your most essential need." Such a beautiful thing. The seeking then, if he is our most essential need, comes with this promise, "and live." And that word is to have life, to sustain life. It's a thriving word. It's a reviving word. It says to be quickened from sickness, from discouragement, from faintness, from death, to revive, to restore, to cause to grow, to prosper, to flourish. This beautiful word, the original idea of the word is that of breathing, which was making me think about, I read this week in Isaiah 40 about how the Lord calls the stars out at night by name and ushers them into place, that not one of them is missing. And this large idea that God not only sustains every breath that I'm breathing right now as I talk, but the entire universe and the world is constantly sustained by his power and loving goodness. But in this passage, "seek me and live," it's like this extra bonus of life. It's more than just this sustaining breath, but this flourishing, reviving, renewing breath that I want, and I know that you guys want. It reminds me of this same promise in Jeremiah 29. It's after that very familiar passage, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans for good and not for evil, plans to give you a hope and a future." In verse 12, right after that, it says, "Then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will hear you." This promise from God that you will be heard before him when you come. "You will seek me and find me. When you seek me with all of your heart, I will be found by you, declares the Lord." What an incredible, incredible promise. I will be found by you. When you seek me, you will find me. And I wanted to invite us, I think affectionately, like this idea of not being invited to a game of hide and seek, but being invited to a game of seek and find. And just contending and praying together that in the midst of days blurring together, in the midst of a lack of clarity, in the midst of confusion, in the midst of a lack of markers or events or time, that we would not grow spiritually dull and asleep and lazy and apathetic, but we would wake up. we would say, Spirit, wake up, and that we would live with vision. We would apply ourselves to seeking the Lord. We would pursue having oil in our lamps, and we would seek him and find him in this time. Love you guys. I bless you today. Seek the Lord and live. Seek him and live.